What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to a little Falcons versus the Bucks post game recap. We're here bringing it to you live from the ATL. Thank those of you who have tuned in to watch us here as we talk a little bit about the Falcons' big win today over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we are excited that the Falcons closed out the season with a win, a much-needed win. They need to do that and it is important that they knock this off. Again, you can follow us anywhere on social media at Minister J Sim. You also can follow the show at Real Talk Sports to number 7. And like I said, again, we are going to do a quick little recap here about the Falcons and what you guys think. Two questions. Well, first of all, the Falcons, I believe this is their very first win over Tom Brady. First win for the Falcons over Tom Brady. So that is something to get excited about, because this guy has been a thorn in their side. So they get their very first win over Tom Brady. Of course, he didn't play much. He did what he had to do in the first half, and obviously, if he played the whole game, it might have been different. But you take the wins when you can, and the Falcons take it today. Their first double-digit win in since the. I guess that was their first double-digit win since the. Let's go back and think. What game was it they won by 2 TDs early? I can't think of it right now, but they had 13 games where every game was a one-score game, and this one 30-17 final. And I will say this: the Falcons looked much better. They looked much better. Now, of course, we understand that they were playing against mostly in the second half, basically the second teamers. So you almost could call this like a glorified preseason game. But again, I'll take what we can get, because this team has played so badly and lost so many games by just idiocy, either from the coaching staff or from Mariota at quarterback, that this is definitely a good sign to go out on a winning record and to have Ridder go 2-3 in the 3 games that he played. Great confidence boost for him. And as you can see, obviously in the first half, Patriots, the Bucks kind of got after him a little bit. Their defense kind of stymied the Falcons, but really a clean game again by Ridder, except a costly fumble late in the second half that allowed, late in the first half that allowed the Bucks to take the lead at halftime. But other than that, clean game, clean slate. Yeah, he missed a couple early that you might have been big plays for the Falcons, but at the end of the day, he did what I always like about this kid, is that he does not turn the ball over. He is all about ball safety, and he's not afraid to get in there and make the plays. The only thing that I would say that they're going to have to do, if they're going to continue to run this RPO style offense, which seems to suit him, he's going to have to run the ball just a little bit more than he does in order for the teams to really bite down on that fake. But at the end of the day, kudos to the Falcons offensive line all year long. The running attack has been just stellar. And once again, they get very close to their average. I think they actually had hit their average. They're about 160 yards total offense. Let me just double check that for you to make sure we are 100% correct. Falcons on the ground. Yep, they actually eclipsed their average, 174 yards on the ground, 208 in the air. Another big marker point, the Falcons eclipsed the 350 yards of total offense mark, which I think is going to be a big key for this team. If this team next year can play defense about the way they played this year, when I say that, in other words, can consistently, keep teams in that around that 20 points per game bracket, this Falcons team can be a winning team and a playoff team next year. Again, the keys: 350 plus of total offense for the Falcons, defensively keeping teams to around 20 points a game. I think that'll be enough to get them into a winning record and a playoff berth in 2023. So Falcons fans, you got to be excited about what we're seeing here from our hometown Falcons. Again, they get the first win over Brady. And my question to you is, does Ridder look like he's QB1? Does he look like that to you? Look like that to me. Maybe I'm drinking a Kool-Aid. Maybe, again, like I said, most of his yards or some of his bigger plays came against, the second teamers for the Bucks. And of course, the Bucks weren't playing for anything. They already clinched the playoff berth. But let's look at these stats here: 19 of 30, 224 yards for young Mr. Ridder. And the big thing is that they say with Atlanta United, a clean sheet, 2 touchdown passes and 0 INTs for Desmond Ridder. And, if we extrapolate his stats over a year, he would get me just what I'm looking for, somewhere in that 25 to 30 touchdown range, and hopefully less than 10 picks for the season. If he can do that, this is a winning recipe for the Falcons based on the fact that they can run the ball for at least 150 yards a game as they did this year. They're just going to be a tough out. Talk about also the fact that their defense should be vastly improved next year. Falcons fans, again, we don't want to go overboard, but this is a team that you can see clearly has one that we can look forward to doing some nice things next year. And I'm mad that they did not put Ridder in earlier, because my belief is that these kind of break-in games he had here, if he had those 3 games earlier, I think the Falcons, instead of going losing 5 straight, they could have went and maybe went 2-3, and now they put themselves in a position at 2-3 that this team now is 9-8 or possibly 10-7, and voila, you have that 10-2 record that I talked about the Falcons could get to. But can't cry over spilled milk. They decided not to do that, and so their record stands what it is: 7 wins and 10 losses, and a team that look like they have the potential to do some things next year. So again, Falcons fans, let's have hope. I think that Desmond Ridder could be a guy, could be your franchise quarterback next year. I think that you have the possibility with this guy. Again, there's the stats up on the tote board there: 19 of 30, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns. But again, more importantly, no interceptions, no INTs. Just that one fumble from the Falcons in the first half, and that was pretty much it. So again, I like their chances next year. I would have wished they had went ahead and put our man Ridder in earlier in the season. I think if they have done that, the Falcons would have been able to have a winning season. I think they could have even went to the playoffs. That's just me personally. Not sure what's going on with my unfortunately, my internet is going a little goofy here, but hopefully that will be corrected in just a bit. Again, guys, we appreciate those of you who have tuned in to check us out here. Desmond Ridder, is he our guy? Is he QB1? And the other thing is, Falcons have to be excited. They get their first win over Tom Brady. I know, again, it's I don't say tainted, but I know it's a situation where, hey, we didn't get the full Monty, but who cares? The bottom line is they finally were able to beat Tom Brady. They're finally able to knock him off. So again, we are looking for big things from the Falcons next year. And Desmond Ridder, to me, I don't know about you. You go ahead and tell me on social media, do you think he is the new QB1 for the Falcons? Is he a guy that we can look forward to be our franchise quarterback? Or should we go after a guy like a CJ Stroud if he's available? Because I think the Falcons will be drafting in the top 10. They do have money. They do have draft capital available, I think, a little bit. So they could, in fact, make that kind of move. But my question is, do they need to do that? Do they need to get another QB, or do they need to beef up their offensive line and get some guys that can pass block? And do they also need to go ahead and get some more defensive help and use that money and capital for that? What do you think? Did Ridder prove to you he's a new QB1 for Atlanta, or do you think we have to do something else and draft a quarterback? I personally think that he showed me enough. I think he showed me enough for this year. I think he's cool. I think the guy is in the position where he can really help this team going forward. I think that he's shown that he potentially is a guy that can be a little bit more than a game manager, because I don't know about you, but he whistled a couple of nice passes during this game. Let's go to social media and see some of the comments here. Let's go here. And yeah, so Jonathan said lots of needs. Exactly, Jonathan. That's my point. I don't think you should go ahead and draft another franchise quarterback. And Todd said the same thing. No, Todd, you're saying nope. You don't think he's our QB1? Well, here's what I'm thinking. You're going to draft a CJ Stroud, or are you going to try to go for a proven veteran? And a proven veteran, who would that be? I'm just saying. I mean, to me, at the end of the day, I like the idea of Ridder. I think he's a guy that's not afraid of the moment. I think he's a guy that has got, I'm going to use an old school word here because I'm an OG. He got some moxie. He got some cayunes. And for QB, it looks like he got a little bit of dog in him. And what I mean by that means that he's not afraid, and that he's the guy that has the confidence in his own ability. He has confidence in his teammates. And here's the other big thing. He's got a serious connection already with Drake London, which we saw when they attended one another's bowl games, I guess it was. They did some off-season visiting, so they did all the things that really I thought Marcus Mariota, as a veteran, was going to do. They got together and they work out and they work together constantly, and you see that on the field. It's not brain surgery, guys. All the great quarterback tandems over the years, they practiced and they did a lot of reps together. If you go all the way back to the 50s, the guy that was the original GOAT at the quarterback position, Johnny Unitas, and the guy that was one of the early GOATs at the wide receiver um, position, Barry. It's if you look at these guys, the reason why they were almost an unstoppable tandem is because Unitas practiced with Barry constantly. These guys, I mean, they did hundreds and hundreds of reps. Matt Ryan, you guys can kill him all you want. You can talk about all the times he underthrew. Um, you thought about how many times he underthrew. Oh my God, Julio Jones. But the bottom line is, they are in the top 10, I believe it is, or top 15 all-time quarterback wide receiving duo in terms of completion yards. So you can kill Matt all you want, but he got the ball out enough into where Julio could make plays. And keep in mind, as much as we were disappointed in the outcome of the reign of Jones and Ryan, I'll go back and say the same thing that I said many, many times. And as much as now people say, "Oh, that's preaching going back on Ryan." No, I'm not. No, I'm not. What I'm saying, over the last 3 or 4 years, I said the Falcons needed a running quarterback because they had an inability to have an offensive line that could protect Matt Ryan, who had by this time now become a drop back quarterback without a good running game. Okay. So I'm just saying, let's go here to Todd. He's saying Mayfield will be available. I mean, do you really want Baker Mayfield? Now, he can sling it, but is that what you want? Let's go to Todd again. He said, Preacher, let's pump the brakes. An unmotivated Bucks defense, and Ridder threw balls to receivers standing there. Okay, let's address that for just a second. In the first half, the Bucks were playing their first team defense, getting their reps in. I will admit that they put a ton of pressure on young Mr. Ridder, and he had some accuracy problems. But let's face it, the Bucks have one of the better defenses in the NFL. You got a guy playing his third game. You would expect him not to be razor sharp. However, when we had, which I admit, a glorified preseason game in the second half, the guy performed very, very well. And I say to you, as his confidence goes up and his confidence builds, this guy is going to be a legitimate quarterback. Once he really has command of his offense, and once he's not really afraid to run, because I get it, man. Nobody wants to get their bell rung and not be able to play. So I understand you want to protect yourself because you are your investment. However, in order for the Falcons offense, running offense, to really click at all cylinders, he's going to have a few more runs that hurt the other team. And I'm going to say it again. I'm not talking about a guy running, sticking his head in the pile like Mariota and other guys. I'm saying that at least a couple of times in a game, he's going to have to pick up those 3rd and 4, those 3rd and 2 on scrambles, and the occasional naked bootleg, maybe on a first down play, maybe pick up 4 or 5 yards. I don't need him to run like Michael Vick, but I need him to get that occasional 4, 5, 6 yards, pick up a first down here or there. Because if you do that, now you loosen up the defense so that the play action fake is more effective. And again, going to the second half, when he had time, like any quarterback does, when he had time, he put some zip on the ball. And for me, the turning point, or not just say the turning point, the kind of pick a pennant moment where he threw that 35-yard dart to Drake London downfield. That to me showed me this guy can put some zip on the ball and he can make the medium range play. Now, granted, in the first half, he was under a little bit of pressure. He cranked up and threw a duck that Drake London was interfered on, but it was really a poorly thrown ball. Nobody's perfect. I think that the Desmond Ridder we saw in the second half, as we get into next season, and he really gets a handle of his offense, and when the Falcons really take that next step and get a second offensive lineman that is close to the skill set of Chris Lindstrom, and especially can bring me that Chris Lindstrom skill set in the pass blocking, this ain't going to be nothing nice. I'm telling you. And please don't add a defense. Okay. Todd is saying, hey, we need some deep balls. I saw one today. It should have been pass interference. That's on Coach Smith play call. I agree. That's what I'm saying. I mean, so at the end of the day, I go back to the throws where he had time. He put some zip. The other thing I admired, he put the ball in tight windows. Again, he's not playing against all pros, but it's a gradual ascent. Here's the thing that's crazy. If we go back and look at almost any great quarterback, and I understand that times have changed where that, first year guys have come in and played very, very well right off the rip. But overall, most of our quote unquote GOAT or semi GOAT players, it took them a minute to kind of get some traction. It usually was in that second year, sometimes even that third year, that they really hit the mother load. Even if you look at Matt Ryan, now, I know he took the Falcons to the playoffs in the first year, but I was listening to 92.9 and they talked about his stats in those first 3 games. He wasn't that good. Yes, he threw a touchdown pass in his first pass, but the rest of that game, I think, was like 13 of 19 or something like that for like, I don't know, less than 200 yards. So at the end of the day, this is what we want to look at, folks. We want to look at the fact that this young man has got, he's a winner. That's the biggest thing. At Cincinnati, I think his overall record was 20-3. So that's what I'm looking at. Let's go to Jonathan Freeman. He said, big offseason for the GM. Absolutely. Absolutely. This team has going to have to put together the pieces around this young man. Because I don't care if you get CJ Stroud or not. I don't care Justin Fields. I don't care if we get Baker Mayfield. If you don't have the pieces. See, again, what made Matt Ryan 3 bad calls in the Super Bowl away from being a Hall of Famer. That's why I know that seems bizarre to say it, but Matt Ryan, take away 3 bad plays in the Super Bowl, the Falcons win that Super Bowl, he goes to the Hall of Fame, whether we like it or not, because the volume of stats, he would have had an NFL MVP and a Super Bowl win and potentially a Super Bowl MVP. Because as much as we get on Matt about his poor play, and as much as people say, "Oh, preacher, now you're singing his praises, he's gone." No, I stated this fact back in 2017 when he had Shanahan's offense. He played MVP caliber. Now I understand that Shanahan is a quarterback whisperer. I get it, but Ryan heard the whispers, and you can say about this guy they got off the street, basically Mr. Irrelevant, how well he's playing. The bottom line is look at Ryan's stats for that season when everything was in place. You had a 1,000-yard running back, you had a Hall of Fame wide receiver, and you had a potential Hall of Fame down the road coach calling plays in Shanahan. And up until the brain fart that this team had from the second half of the third quarter on, he did what he had to do. Okay, that's how it works. I mean, you don't have to be. This idea is you have to be the GOAT all the time to go to Hall of Fame. You just have to have a couple of good years, man, and have a body of work, and you're in. But anyway, that's enough of me talking about Matt Ryan. Let's talk about the team that we have right now. What does this team need to do to go to the next level? So that's my question. What do the Falcons need to do? What is their primary need? I'm gonna ask that question here. What is the primary need? Not, don't give me a whole bunch of laundry lists. The primary need. What would be the number one thing or the number 1 or 2 things that you would want for the Falcons to win? So what is the primary need? The Falcons. Oh, if I can spell this out here. There we go. Do some typing. Falcons team. Lineup. What's the primary thing? I'm sorry, I don't have my producer here, so I'm typing while I'm doing this. Sorry about that, guys. Here we go. Bingo. All right, so let's go. There's a question out there, guys. I'll pop it up there. Bam, there it is. What is the primary need for this Falcons team? Let's go now here. Todd says, Peter, you last ever played, worst collapse in NFL history. Yeah, you're right. I mean, but I'm not blaming it all on him. Because I told you about it. I mean, yes, I know people talk about he could audible, he could have done this, but at the end of the day, he was always a corporate guy. So he wasn't too much in audibles, bro. I'm just saying. All right, let's go here. Jonathan Friedman said, number one thing, and ding, 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 defensive line. There's no doubt about it. The Falcons need to get a stud. They need to get somebody that can get them double-digit sacks on either end. The other thing I'm going to tell you, the Falcons to me, and this is the only thing that irritates me at times about the coaching group that we have here and the coaches that we get here in Atlanta, they have a tendency to outsmart themselves. And you say, preacher, what do you mean by that? And not even so much they outsmart themselves, but they don't maximize the talent they have. You have a guy, a young man who's been highly touted, brought him in. He was kind of like a, what do you want to call him? A switchblade knife or a Swiss Army knife guy in Troy Anderson. Guy that played quarterback, he played running back, he played linebacker. The guy got blazing speed. But to me, playing that guy as an inside linebacker, I think is doing a disservice to his skill sets. Number one, you're asking a guy that basically is a beefed up kind of offensive player to take a lot of shots in the middle of the field. And that's going to make a lot of tackles where he's trying to tackle like linemen and players and constantly pounding against 500 pounds, 600 pounds, 700 pounds, 800 pounds of weight. To me, if I got a guy that can run with that kind of speed, I'm using him kind of like as what they used to call him, they call him the rover position. I'm using him an outside linebacker. I'm using him in zone blitzes where he can get an unfettered shot into the quarterback. Because with his speed, I think that this kid, Troy Anderson, could get you 5 or 6 sacks a year, maybe more. But I just think that once again, we have a situation where the coaching staff and maybe be Dean Pease's scheme, they love this kid's speed, they love his tackling, or I shouldn't say his tackling, but his ability to have a nose for the ball. But they're not using him and using his speed. This kid is fast. I'm like, hey man, turn him loose. So anyway, that's kind of my analysis here of the game today. Like I said, a good game by the Falcons. I don't care if the Bucks had their backups in. The Falcons did what you're supposed to do when you're playing backups. They hung up a 30 spot. And when's the last time the Falcons scored 30 points? Oh my goodness. And I so much scored 30 points because they did that against Carolina, did that against I'm drawing a blank. They, just my mind went. But the realities are they had a 2-score win. They were comfortable. And let me do this, guys. It would be silly for me to talk this recap and not give a huge, ginormous shout out to the gem of the draft from last year, a 5th-round selection, Tyler Algiers, sets the all-time rookie record for the Falcons. Now, William Andrews, my man, he's been on our show a couple of times, Hall of Fame type running back for the Falcons. I think he's not been injured, certainly in the Falcons Ring of Honor, and just an all-around good guy. William, I'm not taking nothing away from you, brother. We know that you set the record in 16 games. Algier took him 17, but nevertheless, he has now set the all-time Falcons rookie record for rushing and closed out his season in fine style. Now, I think, me personally, they should have kind of taken the foot off the gas and rested him because he looked a little ginger. Even though he ran hard, he looked like he kind of got banged up a little bit. So to me, I'd have let the guy not, after he got over 100, I'd let him go. But that's okay. The bottom line is I'm sure this young man wanted to play, and he posted up again. Great numbers. He posted, I believe this is third of his last 5 games or third of his last 4 games where he ran for over 100 yards, 24 carries, 135 yards, 5.6 yards per carry. And Cordell Patterson only had 18 yards, but once again, scoring in the red zone, his 8th touchdown of the year today. And how about an unsung hero, another guy who I think had great synergy with our new young quarterback, which is McCoy Pruitt. 3 catches, all of them big, first downs, and more importantly, had a touchdown. OZ, another guy, contributed well. 4 receptions, 9.2 yards per reception, not many, but had a touchdown. And of course, what can we say about another stud rookie, Drake London, a guy who I don't know, should they draft him at 8, put up the kind of numbers you expect out of a top 10 draft pick. 6 receptions, 120 yards. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, his 4th straight game was 6 receptions or more in the game. Again, why is that? Because Ridder, unlike Mariota, can get the ball to London in that ginormous catch radius he has, and he can make a play. All right, Todd saying to me off of social media, preachers, Falcons need a defensive coordinator. How about Rex Ryan's brother? I don't know. I mean, those guys, Ryan brothers, had the good years, had the bad years. I'm not sure. At the end of the day, you might want to get a younger guy in there, a guy that's going to kind of maybe, again, take advantage of some of the skill sets from the Falcons players like this kid Anderson. I think this guy, Troy Anderson, if they use him right, this guy could be a terror. Todd also saying from social media, William Andrews is a good guy, huh, preacher? Have you read your bio? Listen, man, I'm going to tell you about William Andrews. I'm talking about my personal interaction with the guy. I don't know what the guy has done away from me. I'm just saying my personal interaction with him and people that grew up in his hometown down, I believe it's originally from Thomaston, Georgia. They don't say bad about the guy. So if you're telling me, Todd, there's something else going on with the guy, I'm sorry. I'm just going by my interaction with the man personally. He's been nothing but a gentleman with me. He's been nothing but a gentleman to all of us on the show. So if you got some, I'm Todd. I'm gonna call you Mr. TMZ. Just saying, bro, because you seem to have something that on the. You got dossiers on everybody. You probably got one on me back there somewhere. Just saying. All right, guys, again, I just wanted to kind of give you a quick little recap, my thoughts on the Falcons. Remember, you can follow us, follow me anywhere on social media at Minister J Sim. You also can follow the show at Real Talk Sports 7. Okay, let's see. Todd is saying his past has stopped him from getting into the Ring of Honor. I thought it was no, I think he's in the Ring of Honor, Todd. I think you're wrong on that, brother. I think he is. I think William Andrews is in the Ring of Honor. And the other thing too is I know for a fact from me being at the games and having seen this, he has been at several Falcons games at the behest of management. So yeah, brother, I think you kind of wrong on that one, man. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put up in Google right now just to make sure I'm not, barking on the wrong tree. But I think you might be just you like Michael Jackson. Want to be starting something? You want to be starting something? I'm just saying. Let's ask here is William Andrews. Andrews and the Falcons Ring of Honor. Take a peek. Here we go. And survey says the answer is yeah, he's in there, brother. Yep. He said he will join the following players in the Falcons Ring of Honor at the end of let's see what it says. Let me get this red line. Can't read it too good because I don't have my glasses. Just saying. Yep, but it is right here, Atlanta Falcons Ring of Honor. And he is right there. He is in the Ring of Honor. So you done. So it's a bill of goods, brother. We love you, but your facts are inaccurate. Yep. Kane and Bill were the best. You're right. Yep. You say Riggs is a good dude. I'm gonna tell you something. Those guys, Kane and Andrews, that was the original Thunder and Lightning for the Falcons back in the day. Those guys are ferocious beasts. I mean, no doubt about it. They were absolutely ferocious beasts. They were some bad men. And again, had Andrews not gotten injured, he possibly could have. If he had continued to run at the pace he was running at, he certainly could have been a contender for the Hall of Fame. But that's the one thing that's tough about professional football. That's why it's called the NFL. Not for long. Yeah, the sport is absolutely brutal, as we saw just the other day. Speaking of that, I want to give a big shout out to the folks down at Phillips. Excuse me, it's not Phillips. State Farm Arena. I'm gonna see if I can get this picture up for you guys. If you're in the area on their LED board, the big LED board they have outside the stadium. They had a huge number 3 in the Buffalo colors, and it simply said, "Praying for Draylon." I mean, praying for Draymar Hamlin. So just a big shout out to the folks over at State Farm Arena and all the people who were involved in getting that done. Again, a big tote board asking for prayers and support for Draymar Hamlin, who, for those of you who did not know, a professional player for the Buffalo Bills, in the middle of a game, while tackling a player, received an impact that just a freak situation hit him in the chest, and in fact, caused his heart to stop on the field, and literally had to do CPR on the field. And fortunately, his life was saved. But again, big shout out to everybody around the country who has prayed for this young man, who's offered up support. And oh, by the way, he actually tweeted, I believe it was late yesterday, early today. So he is clearly back on the mend. We don't know to what level and fullness his recovery might be, but we hope and pray that's full recovery. Whether he plays football or not, that to me will be icing on the cake. But the big thing is that we pray that this young man would at least get back to full use of his body, that he might be able to enjoy the rest of his life without incident, and that God will bless him and his family with, like I said again, that could support him and comfort them in this time where I know, were just out of their minds with worry and potentially even with grief. So again, big shout out to all the people who have supported this young man, and people have spent millions of dollars now supporting his foundation. His foundation now, since this has happened, has received, I think, somewhere around $3 or $4 million towards, giving back toys and things to young children. So again, big shout out to all those people who have done that. But I'm going to say something really quickly before I get off here. It's one of the things I say about Christmas is I preach every year, And for those of you who don't know, I am actually a preacher. And so one of the things I say is that if we in fact took the so-called Christmas spirit and applied it on a daily basis, we actually would be able to operate in the way Yeshua or Jesus himself said, that the kingdom of God is here. All this stuff is outpouring, the prayers, the fact that nobody screamed and hollered about professional players and professional sportscasters actually praying on the air. Nobody jumped up and down and said, "Oh, I can't believe this." Blah 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 blah. You see, this is the thing. This is how we should live all the time, folks. If we live like that all the time, if we were praying for one another all the time, if we had that kind of concern with one another's humanity, because everybody says, "Oh, we just don't want to look at him as a football player, look at him as a human being, as a fellow person." Bingo. That's how we have a life that's well lived. That's how we change our society. That's how we change our families. That's how we change our nation. Is that when we all look at it and say, "Hey, we serve a great and loving God," and that if we just kind of followed He gave us an actual instruction manual on how to live here. If we actually followed that, voila, it would be amazing how different this world would be. Imagine that. People wouldn't be killing people like we do, and people wouldn't be bad mouthing people and slandering people, all of all those other crazy things that we do. But instead, it'll be all about love. Hashtag love over everything, baby. That's all I got to say. Listen, we're going to wrap it up right now. Appreciate all those of you guys who have joined in here. Again, we're going to go to social media one last time. Jonathan Friedman had put this up a few minutes ago. Kane, William Andrews, and Link Kane, two of the best running backs of all time. Thunder and Lightning originally. Todd saying here, Preacher Andrews issues about not playing child support. Look, man, a lot of people have problems with that. I mean, child support is a funny thing. Now, I'm not trying to condone people don't pay because kids need to be taken care of. But at the end of the day, there's usually a lot of time when that happens, there's more to it than meets the eye. There's always two sides to every story. Everybody, listen, thank you. Thank you, especially those of you watching on the replay. Please follow us on social media. You see it right there at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. Follow me personally at Minister J. Simmons. Hey, until the next time that you see us again, which is Tuesday, tune in, check us out. Every Tuesday night, we're on the air. Check us out, the Real Talk Sports Show, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Log in, join in, and you see how we answer the comments in real time. Put your comment on the air, and we'll be more than happy to reply to you. And at some point this year, we're actually going to have phone calls as well. All right, guys. Remember, 8 p.m. is the next time, the Real Talk Sports Show. Tune in. And also, remember, follow us on YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel. Hit the little bell, bing, so you get the little notification. Because a lot of time I do live stuff, pregame for different events, high school, college events. Sometimes just cool stuff, like even like the Mayor's Mass Ball or the Chick-fil-A Peace Bowl prayer breakfast. You never know who you might see. I get photobombed by all kind of people. I've been photobombed by governors, well, not governors, the mayor, senators, rappers, all kinds of people. You never know who might drop in. Matter of fact, on one of my broadcasts last week from the prayer breakfast, I, the president of Chick-fil-A, Dan Cathy, jumped in, said, "God bless everybody," and he had like to end it, eat more chicken. All right, buddy. My sign off is God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day or night, whichever may apply. So long. I'm still smiling with you. Take care, everyone.